What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another exciting episode. Been champing at the bit for this one. Always get that one wrong. Sounds like it's supposed to be chomping, but it's not. Very excited to get the show underway. We have been in TikTok jail, shackled, imprisoned. It has been awful. It's been awful. The True Earth debates on TikTok was one of the funnest things, in my opinion, one of my favorite things to do. So, to be stripped of that pleasure was just terrible. So, but no more. The 7 days of grueling, whatever the heck you want to call it, is over. And I know that everybody's excited to have this particular show back, a crowd favorite. We have huge shout-outs to mention Jeremy Bird and John Osborne with the very generous donations. Thank you guys very much. This show is possible thanks to viewers like you. However, before we go on, let's go ahead and thank the rest of the legends who have decided to join us. Of course, we have John over on the Rockfin, as well as 3 other legends listening in the silent, whatever the heck you want to call that, legendarium. All right. And then we have the lovely folks over on YouTube, Waterworld, Austin Murphy, Jeremy Bird, gang, what is up, my friend? Flatman X, indeed you do have the power. Robert Page, Boo Ranch, MrTribune, and Brenda. You should invite me in. Brenda, so just to let you know, do the open panel that we do on Monday. I'm going to post a link. I post the link every show, and then you can click into that and be able to join. I would have you just join the TikTok live, but you have to have at least 1,000 followers. So my hands are kind of tied there. Not my rules, but it is what it is. So join us Monday if you want to get flat smacked around a bit. Should be a lot of fun. All righty. Let's go ahead and get things underway, shall we? A lot of stuff that we have to do before we can get started. Created a whole new TikTok account in case I do go back to the doghouse once again. So, folks, be sure to go follow it over at MrTribune. So just search MrTribune. You should be able to find me. Blue logo. Can't miss it. Alrighty. Got some nice berry herbal tea to keep the night going. We do cap it at like 2 hours, though, folks, so it is what it is. If there's any specific arguments you'd like me to bring up or anything like that, feel free to drop it in the comments or wherever else you can get a hold of me. So, probably Telegram. Let's go ahead and get this live started. I'm about to lose audio with y'all, my monitoring for just a moment, but you guys won't miss a beat. We'll go ahead and get this plugged in, get this live started, and underway, shall we? Much love, folks. Of course, I'm always going to have to go back in and pull back my background. TikTok is awesome at glitching out. No worries, though. We will get things rocking and rolling here in just a moment. All right. Perfect. Live over there. Let's get live over here. Blocking my whole thing. All right. Live over. There we go. Blocking my whole Folks, thing. We are getting there. Give me one moment. There we go. Folks, we are getting there. Give me one moment. We'll just block that out. Hopefully it doesn't echo. And then we are off to the races. One second, folks. Just getting things set up over on the YouTube and Rockfin stream. Appreciate you guys coming out. Should be a lot of fun. Let's pull this back in, get some better audio. Welcome to the True Earth debates. Ladies and gentlemen, we are out of TikTok jail and rocking and rolling, ready to go. What is up, Waterworld? My friend, appreciate you coming in. Should be a lot of fun tonight. We are hoping to have a dynamic, riveting conversation. Hopefully I can stay on the edge of my seat right here in the True Earth debate. Where is it that we live? What is it that we live on? Are we on a flying, spinning space pair, floating in the void with no true inertial frame of reference? Or are we on something different, like a stationary topographical plane, the basement of the universe, a never ending dream realm? Are we in the center of some sort of concave, wrapping around us sphere, the complete opposite of what we've been taught? Who in the heck knows? I sure want to find out. So, welcome, one and all, to the True Earth Debate. Go ahead and share this show if you like this kind of content. Let's get people of all walks in here. I know that we got a whole bunch of mixed bag over here at the TikTok. So, appreciate you guys. Apologize if my throat's going out just a little bit, but what can you do? It has been a busy week. Been doing lives just about every single day, so we appreciate it. Be sure to go check those out over at Troubling Tribune on YouTube and Rockfin. Appreciate it. 24 of y'all in here so far. Let's go ahead and tap the screen, guys. Let's get the word out there. We got to smash it to 1,000 likes. That way it starts to notify people, and we can get some people in here to have the conversation. There's no debate to be had. The Earth is round. I'm Legion. Very curious to know why you would think that. Pardon me. But we are wanting some empirical evidence, right? Some facts, some evidence, some things that we can really get behind. So what have you got for us? If you don't have enough followers to jump in, then just leave the comment, right? Because math. Awesome. What math specifically are you referring to? You can literally see it. That's interesting. So I'm Legion. We have radar propagation, microwave propagation, mirror flashes, long distance photography, infrared. So we can observably see no curvature, right? You can never actually see the curvature, even if it was round, right? Isn't that the claim? Because it's just so big. Well, go ahead and give us your best shot. You're going to have to do a little bit better than just saying like seismography, right? If you're referring to the way that we like pretend that the Earth is a pregnant lady and send in waves through the Earth to try to like map out the distances and stuff, then you should know that they have discrepancies, and they can change just the type of waves from one wave into another. I need something that we can latch onto, like an experiment, cause and effect relationship established empirically. We appreciate you guys coming in. We got Blair. The show. I will ask if you guys can to have the camera. It does help because I am streaming over to the YouTube and Rockfin.
Okay.
So it'll help not to make the screen so bland. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're welcome. I like to say that I know a lot about the Earth, and that uh, basically I've traveled to Alaska and seen
Very cool.
beautiful things, and I've also studied things like whirlwinds and typhoons and stuff.
Nice.
And recently I discovered that, like, when you travel across certain parts of sea, that certain ordained things are happening when you're not even aware of it. So
Ordained, huh?
that
That's an
that
interesting word choice.
not I don't know how I was thinking that, like, not ordained, not aware of. Like, things are happening that you're
Blair,
just.
I will let you know your audio is terrible. It's like echoing. Is there any way that you can fix that, or are you using a headset or anything like that?
Oh no, just using my regular phone.
Gotcha. So can you like maybe make one specific point that we can address, and maybe we can have like a back and forth?
Oh, tell me what on True Earth do you want to debate about? I agree with the true Earth philosophy that the Earth is round and it does spin on a 24 axis.
That's super funny. Okay, so you're under the belief that the mainstream is 100 completely correct, right? Correct.
Yeah. So what is your belief?
Okay, so it's not really a belief as far as like something whimsical or something that I have to like make up as far as like theory goes. It's what I tend to base my assumptions on are kind of what you tried to say in the beginning. Observations, things that we can literally see and observe. So with that being said, I have well, I say me. I actually didn't personally do any of the experiments, to be fair, and neither do you need to have done the personal experiments if you want to bring them any up. But I just would say that we have long distance observation, we have radio propagation, microwave propagation, mirror flashes, all of which operate off of pure line of sight. Multiple over hundreds of scenarios that can debunk the spherical claim if you're not going to invoke any magical bendy light. So, with that being said, we have observations that tend to show us that it's flat. The reason why that stuff apparently can work is because all this light is either bending or bouncing off of an ionosphere or a troposphere. And really funny how they just kind of develop this stuff as we find out that it continues to work. Line of sight, as it's quoted, right? It's called line of sight propagation. So why would we be able to propagate waves and light and microwaves line of sight over hundreds of miles if the Earth were indeed curving?
Mm, Spain too fast for us to even see it.
Are you talking about speed? What does
Yeah.
that have to do with anything?
Um, well, think about it. Say the Earth is spinning and the sun is always staying in one motion for one perpendicular object. But the sun is not in always one place at every different country, but it's all in one place when you're in that one area. It's because the Earth is rotating around the sun, but it's moving so fast that you can't even tell it's moving.
Can I propose a
It's been
test? A test for your claim there?
sure,
So if the Earth is curving like you say, and the Sun is going around perfectly around in 24 hours, 15 degrees per hour, that would mean that all of our time zones are even, correct?
but they're not even. So,
Oh,
that's the strange. That's the strange part.
why would they
Like
not be
we
even?
live in because the Earth is using different gravity motions. I don't know how to explain it.
I
The
don't know what
different time zones.
not really sure what gravity motion would refer to. I'm gonna go ahead and let you in some help. Legion, welcome to the show. Appreciate you coming on. Saw you had some decent comments in there, so yeah, fire away, man. Welcome to the show.
Look, so did you ever go to school, like college?
Is that supposed to be like ad hom?
No, it's not an ad hom, and I just want to know if you have like any, because like any person that has a degree in like geology, geography, cartography, uh, there's a lot seismologists, like they're all going to tell you that the world's round.
Wouldn't that be an appeal to authority?
Not really, because it's not just one person. Like anybody can go to school and study these things.
Okay, so let's
So,
explore
Well, I
that.
was born in.
Obviously,
can
hold
I
on,
just tell
Blair.
a story that's totally unrelated?
No, hold on. Before you do,
Geography is
hold
so
on.
precise.
I didn't give you permission. You asked. I was
Okay.
let me address your point first, and then you can tell
Okay.
your story. Basically, what you're saying is that we have a whole bunch of geologists and scientists that all believe that the Earth is round, and they will all tell us that the Earth is round. If you were to say that because they are geologists and scientists, that means that they're correct, then indeed that would be the logical fallacy, right? You're appealing to their authority. What
No, I was going
specifically
through
do
the
they
process.
know? The way to make it not a fallacy would be to tell me specifically what they know that we
Well, they
don't,
have
that would
models
lead
that
them
they
to
can
know that the Earth is round.
they have models that they can make predictions on, and you guys don't.
You guys are off on your models by, what was it, 40%?
I mean,
So, I mean, I'm
but
not sure
I
why we
mean,
would say that,
you can just throw around a number, but I mean, like literally weather patterns, all this.
like you
But
just
I
did.
want to go
I
back
mean,
to something real quick. Okay, so uh, geology is so precise around the world that like if you look up old videos, you remember Osama bin Laden. So one of the ways that we narrowly caught him is that the geological strata across the world is so consistent that he was in a cave somewhere and he didn't have a sheet up behind him. And if you look at videos of him, he'll have most of the time he'll have a sheet behind him. But in the earlier videos, okay, there's one particular one where he didn't have a sheet behind him, okay? And plate tectonics, geological time, and all of this is so precise that we almost caught him because the geological strata that were visible in the cave wall behind him gave away his precise location.
I'm Legion.
And that's a fact.
If I may play devil's advocate, let's just say I agree with you that we were able to locate Osama bin Laden because he effed up and left a tarp down, and which allowed us to see the type of rock that was behind him. You're telling me that because we knew where a particular rock mostly forms, that means that we know that the Earth's a ball. Am I correct?
Yeah, because just like I said, we have these things models and we can make predictions off of them. And they're so accurate
So you
that
are
we can do
aware.
things like hunt people
I'm
down
Legion.
across the world
I'm Legion.
with
Let me ask
this
you:
data.
Do you have a degree or anything in geology or
Uh,
anything like that?
I passed land nav.
Okay. So are you aware that there are locally accurate,
Do you want me
perfectly
to teach
accurate,
you how
mind
you can
you?
prove to
Oh,
yourself the world's
oh,
round? I
oh!
can teach
Please,
you right
please
now. I
teach
can
me,
teach you.
Legion. Please teach
Okay.
me. That's what we're here to
So
learn.
so the best way to do it, the very best way to do it,
I love
you're
how
going to
you
have to
cut.
go on
But
two. You're going to
one
have to go
second.
on
Hold on.
two really
I'm gonna
long
return the
pilot
favor.
digging trips.
I'm Legion. I'm going to return the favor because you cut me off when I was returning your point. So I'm
Okay.
going to make this point, redressing your previous one, and then I'll let you finish this one. To address your point though about like geology and whatnot and how it's like so accurate, there are perfectly accurate, locally flat mapped geological predictions. In fact, they're the only ones that are 100% accurate that don't have the
Yeah. Yeah.
40% anomalies. So, with that being said, continue with
Cartography
your
relies on
unrelated
the
point that
world
was moving away from
being
that particular topic.
cartographers. Like when you look at a map square, like a grid square and land nav, you'll get like a click by click or 2 click by 2 click map. You can get them from the U.S. Geological Survey. Uh, they assume that the world's flat because like it's so big that they don't have to account for curvature within inside a couple
I have a
kilometers.
question. What school teaches the world's flat? I forgot. Only retards teach the school the world's flat. No
All
You
right,
school
can't say
Blair,
the
teaches the
whole
you
world's
world
are
is
flat.
out of
flat,
here.
bro.
We do not support people using that
Ableism.
word in this live, right, as
Yeah,
a
don't get me banned,
derogatory
bro.
term. Jesus.
Okay, I can teach you how we can definitively, me and you could go out tomorrow, preferably in a boat or an airplane, but we could do it while we walk to it. And I could show you without a doubt, with a map, a compass, and a watch, that the world is indeed round.
A compass, a
Ah,
watch, and what else?
A map.
And a map. Before you start, Hap, Nip, you've been waiting in the background for a while, so if you geocentric, welcome to the show. I do want to keep it even and let people get their piece out, so let's try to keep the show going, not interrupting, and respectfully. Appreciate you guys joining. I'm Legion. Go ahead and finish the point.
Okay, so do we agree that longitude and latitude lines exist? and maps exist.
So latitude and longitude are theoretical lines dictated by, for one, the longitude is just dividing a circle into 24 equal parts, and then the latitude is going to be taken, or is going to be derived from actually elevation angles taken to the sun throughout the course of the day in the different locations.
For the audience, longitude runs north and south, and latitude runs across the horizon.
Sure.
Okay. So, anyways, longitude works on a globe and a flat Earth, but latitude only, and the way that we use it on maps and for navigation, only works on a globe. You know why? Because if you were to sail a boat across the ocean and you got on a latitude line and you got on your bearing, you would no longer have to turn left or right to course correct. And on a flat Earth, a latitude line is curved.
So let me just ask you this: if you're making a giant circle, would you necessarily notice that you're curving, unless unless a direction told you?
Yes, you would. In an airplane or a trip across the ocean, you would.
No, you definitely would not.
You definitely would, because you do not have to course correct going north and south, and you do have to course correct going east and west on a flat Earth.
The Legion. I'm gonna explain very clearly what the problem with the logic is, because I don't think you see it, and that's okay. That's part of the reason for this show, is so that we can get to the crux of the issues. Basically, what you're saying is that we know we're not turning because we're staying along this line, this latitude line. And the thing is that the latitude line is literally wrapped around the longitude line, imaginary. It's presupposed that way.
No, it's not. It's not presupposed and imaginary. It's based off of the best middle, and the prime meridian is the best cross sections we have.
So allow me to finish the point. If you take the latitude and longitude, the place where you would test it would be the southern hemisphere, by the way. It wouldn't be the what we see is that you're making a giant circle, which would just feel, you would not feel a giant circle the size of the Earth. You just would not. Everybody would have to agree upon that across the board. That's across the board. Globers literally say that the globe is too big to see the curvature. So, in any case, if you look at the azimuthal equidistant projection, you can see that it does in fact make a circle. And if you're basing your direction off of that line, then it
does make a circle around the globe.
It makes a circle around the flat Earth as well. The north is the center, and it's literally making a circle.
Yeah, but the difference is in the practical application, when we're flying or sailing across
if you want to talk about practical,
we don't have to course correct going east and west, but you do.
Because it's based off of Legion. That's because it's based off a compass, which is based off of a magnet. So you're getting your direction based off of magnetic north. You're going in a circle around magnetic north.
You're bearing from the map.
You're going in a circle.
You're bearing from the map, and you get your direction from the compass.
You're going in a circle around magnetic north, and that's in both models.
So airplanes don't fly based on the lines. They fly based from point A to point B. And that in that middle of point A from point B, that you're not gonna feel the curve. You're not gonna see.
I'm not.
You're not
blaming.
Turning. You're gonna be flying over a flat surface. So where does your
I'm not claiming
of
that planes take certain flat routes. I'm saying that you can get on a bearing and a latitude line, and you can follow it east to west without course correcting.
Here's the thing. You're not course correcting, or you don't think you're course correcting, because for one, the plane is making little micro corrections constantly. So if you start to veer, it's going to correct you back to the latitude line. And if the latitude line is effectively just a circle around true north, or magnetic north, I should say, then you're going to get the same effect, and you're not going to know that you're making a big circle.
When you go to the southern hemisphere, you're referring to
no,
magnetic
but you would
south.
though, because you'd be turning.
If you're in the southern. So the reason why you can check it in the southern hemisphere is because the difference would be in the southern hemisphere is going to be much larger on the flat Earth map versus in the globe Earth map. Can we agree on that?
What's that? Say that last part.
Could we agree that the flat Earth map would effectively have a much larger southern hemisphere than the northern hemisphere? Compared to the globe, which would have them be equal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The southern
perfect.
hemisphere doesn't
Flat
work
Earth
at
map
all for
does
you
not
guys.
represent anything.
Like the southern
How would you know?
hemisphere
One
is
at
a
a time,
huge
please.
problem for you.
One at a time. Happy, you've been pretty quiet. I haven't heard any of your points yet. I apologize. Go ahead, my friend.
I was just saying the one thing. There's no representation for the flat Earth. That's the reason why you don't have a magnetic. That's the reason why you have a. You're saying that the flat Earth has a wider range for the south. Is that what you're referring to?
Well, it would
The
have to, wouldn't
magnetic.
it?
When you go to the southern hemisphere, you're referring to a magnetic south. When you use a compass, there's a magnetic south. If you're
So
in the southern hemisphere,
so for purpose of communication, I'm using the southern hemisphere so you can know the general land masses that are in that area. But effectively, on the flat Earth map, the southern hemisphere would be the area outside of the equator, away from true or away from the center,
on a
which
flat
is
Earth,
the
there would
magnetic
be no
north.
equator. On a flat
Hey,
Earth, there would be no equator.
No, that's a definite straw
Equator.
man. So there's an equator on
No,
both
that isn't
maps.
a
You need to
straw
look up
man.
the azimuthal
That
equidistant.
isn't a
It's the
straw man.
closest thing that we
An
have.
equator happens with any
Or just
globe
talk
shape
over
or
me.
any round shape.
So, Hop, just
Okay,
to
so
add
you're
something to the whole.
One
Yeah,
second.
the equator.
One
It's
second,
just-
Geocentric. I'll let you go. I just want to say that your imaginary lines that you presuppose a ball and
I
wrap
don't have-
around
there's no
in no
imaginary
mean actually
lines.
prove in no way actually
Yeah,
prove
they
your
do.
claim. Go ahead, Geocentric.
It's been proven many times before. It's been
Hey,
proven
so when
millions of
somebody's
times.
talking, listen to the whole point, and then you start talking,
You like to
please.
come in and interrupt
So,
on different lives too, Geocentric. I don't want to hear it.
okay, I'm not in different lives. We're here on Mr. Tribune.
Yeah.
Are you gonna still interrupt? Okay, perfect. So there's a video showing of a company. I don't know what it is exactly because there's supposedly no companies in the South Pole. Showing a guy showing a compass that's not working in the South Pole. There's no magnetic force in the South Pole.
How many
Even there's a
videos
big
are like
problem
that?
with. Hold on one second. Let me finish my point. There's a big problem with magnetism in the southern area of the Atlantic region, which is
No,
called
there's
the
not.
Southern Magnetic,
No, there's not.
Bullshit.
Hey,
which
if you
is
run,
called,
start people, just let you know right now.
Well, this is
which is called
stupid anyway.
which is
I mean,
called
the only argument that needs to
I'm
be
not
said
going to
here
argue with you.
is the
I just came
thousands,
in because
the
it was
thousands of
low. Like,
photographs.
I'm leaving anyway. Like,
There's
it's not
thousands
even
of
really an
photographs
argument,
of the
bro.
Earth being round. There's not a single one showing it flat. Not a single
Okay.
one. And you can't show that either.
That's
Okay, so
ridiculous.
there's
Almost all
something
maps
called
are flat, bro.
That's the reason.
Look
No,
at any
I
map;
said-
they're all flat, bro.
I said photographs. I said photographs.
Photographs aren't
Get what you-
scientific
get-
evidence of
get-
anything.
Get with what you're responding to me with.
If somebody showed me a
Okay.
picture of the flat Earth, I wouldn't
Photograph.
accept it as evidence. So, pictures aren't scientific evidence. Go ahead.
Photographs are photographs. They're what show something, whether or not it's real.
That's ridiculous. Geocentric, go ahead.
That's
I'm
not
sorry, I keep
ridiculous.
cutting you off.
You're ridiculous.
So there's something called the Southern Atlantic Magnetic
Just don't let them
Anomaly.
talk then, huh?
This is
What's it called, Geocentric? Try to ignore it.
Southern Atlantic Magnetic Anomaly, and it's not for the northern part of the Atlantic. It's for the southern part of the Atlantic. Okay, and if you hear that video from the guy filming inside at Antarctica at a scientific station, supposedly not a military, supposedly scientific, he shows the compass and he makes a spin. This guy is from the group called Polar Trek, and you can search in YouTube right now. Does a compass work in Antarctica? And he will show you that it doesn't. What he'll do is he will take a compass out.
That's one
He will
right?
spin.
That's one
Hold on one
video,
second.
isn't it?
He will spin. He will spin around, and the needle is not even being magnetized. It's just drifting while he's spinning around. So it's not getting any force that plays upon it. So if you're
there's
gonna tell me
no
that he's not
argument for
using
this,
the correct compass,
the whole thing behind this is what I said before. You guys have not proven anything that the world is flat. You've proven nothing. Here's the point. I just made it before. There have been thousands of photos taken of the Earth showing it being round. Not a single one of them being flat. So
I did not kick him, by the way. I don't know what happened there. Maybe he got booted. It was Yawn, by the way. Very old points. Lots of straw manning. lots of logically fallacious arguments. Doesn't really track, photographs as evidence. Where's your photograph? I was like, I mean, we could show you the infrared long distance photography, but I mean, you're just going to dismiss it as bendy light, not really even understanding the model. So if any other globers want to come in and try to have a more civil conversation, typically we don't let people interrupt. That's on both sides, flat earth, concave, globe, whatever. We want people to make their point. We want it to be heard. And then as long as they're not monologuing, right? And then we can actually, have a back and forth.
So the reason why I was mentioning this guy right here, because on the flat Earth model we don't have a South Pole, we have a North Pole, and this guy will tell you that that a compass, even if it works, this is his exact words, even if it works, it will give you a 160 degrees off on the compass, but from his compass it wasn't working. And if you take that 160 degrees, it will tell you that it's going to be pointing in the Indian Ocean. Maybe it's not pointing in the Indian Ocean. Maybe it's pointing at the North Pole and he doesn't even realize it. And he was told that it's pointing in the Indian Ocean.
Here's the crazy thing, too. And Pesmoy, thank you for joining the show. I'll let you speak here in just a moment. Thank you for being patient. I'll just say that as someone who's actually been out in open water, out in Florida, I've been deep sea fishing. We actually use a little radar device to help locate pieces of debris and help keep our general position out in the open water. And the thing is that, and this was literally told to me by this captain of the Coast Guard. He's saying that one of the most important things, if we didn't have this piece of technology, is reference points. If you don't have reference points, that's why being out in the open water can be so dangerous, because if you don't have any land, you don't know where the heck you're at. It can be, without something in the sky to look at, that is relatively stationary, or like a celestial object, you're going to be, pretty screwed. So for these people to say that, the magnets, the way the magnets work, prove the shape of the Earth is ridiculous. And they can't address the fact that in the southern hemisphere, according to their model, the magnet is much weaker. It's 30% weaker in the southern hemisphere, which doesn't really make any sense if it's on a sphere it's supposed to be symmetrical, but on a flat surface and you're just getting your directions from magnetic north, it would make sense for that strength to drop off over distance.
I do have something to say before we get to Zimoy. I'm not sure how to say his name, but the guy shows something working, which is GPS. And GPS is a very simple device, which you can add a piece of unknown area to the whole Landsat data, which is just an image that you're adding. You add the longitude lines and the numbers. You add the latitude and the longitude, and you can maneuver in between that area that you have plotted as an image with a aerial photo that you can take from an airplane. And you can travel, and you can locate your location based on ground positioning antennas. There's a lot in Antarctica. And that GPS system, the guy will tell you that GPS works, but a compass doesn't work down there. And that, I believe it fits our model. It doesn't fit the globe model.
I love this comment here from Akula. Earth is not homogeneous in structure. Would you say it's 30% fatter in the southern hemisphere, and that's why it's 30% weaker, because it's got to be stretched out further, it's a little bit further from the surface? Who knows? I know that magnetism is supposed to be a radial force. So, Pesmoy, sorry for taking so much of your time. Go ahead, my friend.
Good evening, guys. My name is Olaf. So I joined late this live, so I didn't catch the beginning. You were referring to some 40% error for the globe Earth model, and also you were talking about time zones not being equal. Can you expand a little bit shortly about that?
Sure. So, and granted, I don't have the paper here in front of me, so if I have misquoted the 40%, it might have been 30% or something like that. But the fact being is that it's not a perfect model, right? The claim is that it's perfect, that it works every single time, and that there is anomalies with it. So one of the anomalies being is going to be with earthquake times, when they're making measurements and predictions of when earthquakes are supposed to hit at certain times. Sometimes it's much later, sometimes it's earlier. So there really still some things to figure out there. And also there is two types of waves. There is S waves and P waves. And the way they define them is what makes the wave. Basically, I think an S wave is the one that can go through solid structures, and P waves cannot, or it's the other way around. Either way, they're interchangeable effectively, because if they find out if a wave was a P wave and then it did pass through one of the medians that it wasn't supposed to pass through, then they would just switch the name of it to the S wave, or to the other one, and then they would run the calculation based off that. And it's basically, there's nothing solid there to prove definitively that you know the shape of the Earth as you're sending waves again through the Earth. And as far as the time zones not being equal, that's a really great point. There is a place, just to name one of the anomalies, there's a place between Russia and Alaska that is a huge anomaly for a time zone. Alaska is actually supposed to take up 3 different time zones. And in fact, they only have it on one time zone. And the reason why this would be, in theory, is because not only do you have to create, or not only do you have to shrink the land in the southern hemisphere to create the globe model if the Earth was in fact flat, but you would also have to add a little bit of land in the northern hemisphere as well. So that's why you have these lines. Again, they're presupposing that this would work perfectly all the way around. Nobody has actually gone and made the definitive measurement.
No. I don't understand why would you claim that this is argument against globe Earth. Time zones are not equal, because we basically make allowance for some error in time just for convenience, because we want to have an area belonging to one national or one state to have one time for convenience.
Well, just so you know, Pesmoy, that convenient little thing that we just happen to do to make it convenient, just so happens that on the older world maps, the area between Alaska and Russia is actually much smaller. So, I mean, just a little coincidence there, I suppose.
Yeah, and my name is Olaf again. So
Olaf, I apologize.
Yeah, so convenience is very important factor here. The same happens for the summer and winter time, changing to the daylight saving. Some states don't do it, some states do it. Time zones are the same. They follow the borders of political borders, basically, states and countries. If you go,
do you have an actual source for the Alaskan time zone anomaly? Because even here in the United States, right, that's actually not true. We do have like 3-4 different time zones here in the United States. We don't care, because we're all one country, that we want to have just like one time zone. And even some states have multiple time zones in one state. So why is Alaska so special that we decided that gets to have 3 time zones, or one time zone is 3, but these other states here in the United States weren't special enough, so they have to be split, where the time zone actually, where it actually splits, right? Because it's based off of, the sun going around a circle.
Tribune, and Olaf, if I may, for a second. Do you know where the international date line is, Olaf?
Yeah.
It's in the Atlantic, right? It's right in the middle of Russia and America. You have Big Diomede and Big Diomede and Small Diomede, if I'm not mistaken. It's right in the middle. That's the one you were talking about, Tribune. If you take the perspective, if you find a map that has the international date line in the middle, and because there's not a lot of maps that will show you that international date line right in the middle. Most of them, the maps that you get when you look up time zones, you see the international date line all the way to the left. Okay, if you find a map with the international date line in the middle, look at the right side of the international date line and look at the left side of the international dateline. So left side of the international dateline is Russia, okay, and right side is America. Okay, once you see these two sides, you would understand that there is something else going on from not being political. Okay, you will see that America's time zones stretches to the left sides. It overlaps the hourly marks of the time zones and pushing it, stretching it to the left side. And Russia overlaps and stretches to the right side. Okay? They're stretching something that doesn't fit. And what doesn't fit is the sphere. And they're trying to fit it on the sphere and stretching it to the international dateline. Okay? If you look a little bit lower on the top of the international dateline, you will find some kind of corkscrew weird line that goes like this and goes lower by Kiribati. If you don't know where Kiribati is, it's like in the middle, a little bit southern middle of Atlantic Ocean. Atlantic Ocean is big and vast. That the international line runs down, reaching before it reaches Kiribati. You'll see a line stretch out to the right, going up like this, going down like this. It's like a key. It's like a key, like an old style key, like that. And there they add. Sorry.
I was just gonna real quick on your to help your point as well, but with this one, Nick Rudat, time zones are arbitrarily drawn. This is a bad argument for flat earthers. Flat earthers are not the ones saying that time zones prove the shape. It's the globe earthers that saying that the latitude and longitude lines are what prove the shape. So we agree they are arbitrarily drawn.
Time zones.
Okay.
Time zones.
So
are dividing.
Hold on, let me just finish a short point. A short point. When you see this key right here, they snuck in 3 hours of time zones inside that key because there's no islands or lands there to fit this model on the sphere. Because if it's a perfect sphere, you have to have 24-hour time zones, hourly time zones, perfectly and equal around the whole globe. But it's not like that. And if you see it, it's not about politics. It's not about what they're saying that it is. You see it perfectly on the right side of the international dateline, them stretching it to the left, and on the left side of the international dateline, them stretching it to the right. This is to actually forcefully fit the time zones on a sphere. You have to study it for yourself. I'm not asking you to understand this. You have to look at it for yourself.
All right, let's let him respond.
That only proves my point that the line follows political borders, because time zone is dividing areas, large areas of land, where difference in time on the left side of the map to the right side of the map is 1 hour, about. And if you have a country or a state in United States which will geographically stick its nose outside of this border, it would be completely impractical to decide that one sliver of Florida will be in central time zone and the rest of Florida will be in eastern time zone. Whole Florida will be in eastern time zone because it's convenient for the Florida state. And the same happens for Asia. The whole China is one time zone. Even the China is bigger than America. Chinese people don't give a fuck. They just have one time zone. And it doesn't prove flat earth. It's basically convenience for political reasons. You just have one time zone. You don't care that people on the east of China will wake up a little bit 2 hours early, or it will be dark when they are going to work, because they don't give a fuck about
just to be quite frank with you, I mean, we're not even talking about China. I brought up a very specific example that on old world maps, Russia, the border of Russia to Alaska is like literally the space of one time zone, like literally. And now in this new modern era where we're proposing that they've added a little bit of land in the northern hemisphere, we propose that they added it right there on that line, and that actually everywhere, if you look where Alaska is and you look at that time zone line, those 3 time zones, until you get to the southern hemisphere, you're not going to even know, like, be able to realize that there's those 3 different time zones. You would basically be like over the ocean somewhere where there's no land. So we have an area that just you're saying that it's for convenience sake, for political reasons, and I could get behind that, right? It would be convenient, to have every area be all one time zone. But the fact is that's not consistent throughout the rest of the areas. It is a pick and choose, and it's not the flat earthers that are claiming that the longitude and latitude actually prove the shape in the first place. That was actually a globe Earth claim that we have now addressed to show you that no, the latitude and longitude does not work perfectly on the globe like you think it does. There are anomalies that are now being covered by it just being political reasons, which either way you slice it proves, like you're saying, they're arbitrary. They're arbitrary lines and they don't prove the shape.
There's still confusion. First of all, I don't want to discuss the old map and new map argument with you because it's too vague. I don't know what map you're talking about. We could discuss that when you present the map and show me the difference. And I would imagine that the old map, let's say 100 years old map, will be less accurate than the
Well, can you
map.
present us something that shows that the Alaskan time zone anomaly is literally just due to political reasons? Or are you just pulling that out of your arse?
Don't be defensive because I criticize your argument as being weak. Please.
Well, I'm definitely not
Well,
defensive. I could be. I could definitely be a lot more, but
provide evidence. I am for like 5 minutes. I'm providing evidence that the.
You haven't provided any evidence. You've talked.
You haven't. You said it's political. That's all the evidence you brought.
I'm sorry, guys. What happened to the rule of not interrupting each other? Because I'm trying to say something and I'm constantly interrupted by the host and by the geocentric. So please, give me a couple seconds of quiet time so I can say. So the time zones are not arbitrary. The difference between the sunset and sunrise is real. And just because somebody choose for political reason that we will not change the clocks, it's a proof that the differences in time zones are political.
Show it.
Not geographically, or they don't debunk the movement of the sun or the earth around the sun, or that the time zones are equal. They are equal.
Can you show it?
You can show it. You could observe when is the time rise.
No, I'm asking you to show me that Alaska is doing the time zones based off political reasons.
Based on political reason means that a state decides that
I know what it means.
One zone.
I know what it means. That's what they did.
Show the actual proof.
Just give me an article or a link or anything.
I don't have it with me here, but you could look at the map of time zones of any other states in the continental America, and you will see that the border lines between the time zones, look at the time zones border in between the central time and eastern time. It goes along the states. It doesn't cut the states in the middle.
Okay, can I interject? Can I interject,
Yeah.
Olaf? Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's very awkward that every person, every politician in the state of America and every politician in the state, I'm not sure, I guess in Russia it's one government rules all of Russia. I don't know how it works with the cities, but how is it that 4 or 5 time zones in Russia, I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, overlaps and pushes to the right, and 4 and 5 states time zones in the US overlaps and pushes to the left? Who got up and decided that politically they want to push the time zones overlapping the regular time zones? So you find the states, right? The state lines, it overlaps to the left side. All of them overlaps to the left side, pushing to fit the sphere of the Earth to the left. Is that or is that
what I think confusion comes from is that we should not mix the time zone as an official time with the actual sunrise and sundown times. Because sunrise and sundown times are biological, they are geographical, they are natural based. And time zone is political. China will raise and say, from today, we have the 12 o'clock, and we don't care about the sunrise and sundown.
You're incorrect.
What? I'm not incorrect. At what?
You're incorrect. You can do a simple Google search right now, and you can see that longitude was determined simply by dividing a circle into 24 equal parts. Politics had absolutely nothing to do with it. And latitude is actually what was created by elevation angles to the sun, or difference in sunrise to sunset, as you put it.
But I didn't say anything different. So why I'm wrong?
But that's that's latitude. You're saying that's longitude. That's determined by the sun, and it's not. It's latitude that's determined by the sun.
What?
Look it up.
The time of the sunrise and sundown is changing from west to east.
So again, the elevation angles to the sun, which would effectively be the difference from sunrise to sunset, is we have used to determine our latitude lines. You can look this up yourself. The longitude lines were determined simply by dividing a circle into 24 equal parts. This is not even debatable.
Yeah, this is the lines, bro. That's what I'm saying. You don't understand. Like the lines, they're straight, 24 lines divided by a circle. But the states, like I was stating, like the United States is pushing all the time zones to the left. One of them even overlaps for an hour, swallowing a whole hour out of the 24-hour.
And if you look on your clock and wait for your sunrise, this 1 hour will follow the straight line, not the political line drawn on the map. That's my argument. The real times of sunrise and sundown are following the straight lines divided by 24 hours.
There is a station.
They are hypothetical lines.
Hold on. Another anomaly that you would have to address is the reason why there's a station. I have to pull up the exact name of it here. I can't do it now because I'm streaming. But there's a station in Antarctica that has a time that is, 8 hours? 8 hours difference from the landmass that's literally directly above it. Right? And this is like the most south you can get. This is where you would have the most anomalies and where you would see the time zones the most not working out, instead of just the small, like 3 time zone anomaly that we see in the northern hemisphere. So, I mean, that's not just that one anomaly, right? And it's like to say that, oh, well, it's political reasons why they're so far different would just be ridiculous.
How about
you realize that
how about the fact
going
that
to the pole,
little Diomede and big Diomede is 21 hours apart because of time zones? 21, and that's not even a joke. And the sunrise, the distance is, don't quote me on this, is about like 12 miles from one another, something like that, or way less. And the sunrise difference from little Diomede to big Diomede is 2 hours apart from each other, while they're only like 12 miles apart or something like that. Let me go ahead, guys. Let me get the miles.
Where is this location? Close to beyond the Arctic pole?
No.
Yeah. You were talking about Antarctica. My bad, Tribune. I'm talking about Alaska, in between Alaska and Russia. Little Diomede and big Diomede. Sorry.
But guys, you go north and south. The time zones don't matter anymore.
Now we're dealing with latitude.
In the specific point where you are directly on the North Pole, you will have no time. You will not have no sunrise or sundown. You will be looking straight at the sun. It will be.
But there'd still be times. You'd still have times, though.
Times for formality. They have no practical reasons.
No, that's not true. See, the time would always be even if the sun never set, it would still be moving in a different position based on your relative location, and you would base your time based on that. You would never say that the time has no the position of the sun has no practical application just because you're in the North Pole.
I think we are arguing about such irrelevant topic that I'm
You brought it
amused
up.
that I brought it up because I was not sure why you brought it up before, that time zones are not equal. That's why I was wanted to ask why
It was
this
brought up
topic
before
show up.
before
Yeah.
you came in. It was brought up that
Right.
latitude and longitude are proof of the globe, so I was just debunking that.
Well, they are proof of the globe because
What?
they are because
I
They're
thought you said they
hypothetical,
were
right,
arbitrary.
buddy?
Earth rotates a
Does the
24
Earth
hour
rotate or does the
cycle.
sky rotate?
Earth rotates in 24-hour cycle, and that's
How do
why
you
we have
know?
time zones.
I'm sorry to keep interrupting, Pez, but it's just the old points, right? How do you know how do you know the difference if it would be the sky rotating 24 hours in a day versus you rotating 24 hours in a day, or would there be any difference?
Why does matter if we are talking about time zones?
So we're talking. You said the Earth rotates, right? Which would be proof of
Yes,
its being a sphere, right?
yes,
I'm saying, how do you know that the Earth is rotating and not the sky?
because I follow a
He's
model
saying this.
which
He's
we
saying this because
create.
he wanted to get off the subject of time zones. So he's switching the subjects.
I mean, it's not really a subject change. We're still talking about. We're still
Yeah, I
talking
know.
about.
Yeah, of course, but you're getting off the point because he said that. Why are we talking about the time zones?
I'll take it as a
So
concession. That's fine. Anytime somebody gish
Okay,
gallops, I'll take
and
it as a
and
concession.
going back to your original statement about the 40% error on predicting earthquakes.
Okay.
Uh, again, this is amazing to me that you would nitpick on this particular argument. Predicting earthquake is not fully developed science. This is not established theory. It's extremely hard to predict. The scientists are going more by luck than by calculations, and this is not a strongest point to latch on and see, haha, you got it wrong. Globe,
I
Earth
It's
got something to say
model
about this.
has
Hold on.
thousand
I got
other
something to say about
proofs
earthquakes.
which are very strong, and,
1 second.
latching on this is basically a strong.
Pez, Pez, I just want you to know that I'm addressing arguments that are brought to my attention. Seismology was actually one of the first arguments brought to our attention in the live, and that's why I addressed it. It said that the seismology is we know all about it, and that's why we know that the Earth is a sphere. And I'm saying that we don't, as you just said. There's anomalies, there's things that we can't do with it yet. And I'm not just talking about predicting when an earthquake will happen. I'm talking about predicting the timing of when an earthquake wave will actually hit another location. Anomalies with the timing of the traveling of the waves, not with the
Right,
prediction of when an earthquake would happen.
right. And I'm not familiar with these topics. I'm engineer on electronics, so I'm not aware of seismology. I'm not aware of geology, and I know that the sound wave will travel with different speed depending on what's the media it's traveling through. So I can only imagine that predicting time where the earthquake will reach, 300 miles on the distance will be very unpredictable because we don't know exactly what the materials are in between these 2 points, right? So I think this is very weak point. There are much stronger proofs that the Earth is globe, and just talking about these two things like time zones or the in predicting time of the traveling sound or earthquake, it's like dividing hair in four.
Okay. Well, since you claim that there's much stronger evidence for Earth's being a globe, fire away. That's why we're here.
Good point. Good point. I should be ready for that. So, how about this ancient proof of being in Egypt and looking at the shadow of a stick?
So if I told you a story about something that happened 1,000 years ago, would you accept it as proof? Like
No,
today?
no. You could recreate that today, right? Even easier.
I'm really glad that you brought up this point, the Eratosthenes sticks and shadows experiment. So the sticks and shadows experiment, what that's supposed to do is like the shadow is supposed to have an exponential rate of growth because the Earth is a ball instead of it being flat. It'll have a linear rate of growth supposedly. However, you can easily demonstrate this whole difference in the shadows thing by simply taking a flashlight overhead on a flat table and having objects, placed in different positions. The only thing that you're proving by proving out that the shadows are different lengths is that the sun is indeed in a different position according to each observer. So that's the only thing that we do get with that.
No.
Olaf, can I ask you something?
The argument was that the sun exactly on top of one stick. One stick was not casting a shadow.
Correct.
And the other stick was casting a shadow, and based on that, you could calculate what is the radius of the Earth precisely.
So I know that you can't see it right now, but I have a shadow being cast from my microphone. Like I have a light right here. It's casting a shadow right here on this microphone, and my mouse is casting a different shadow the other way. I can take the measurement of these shadows and I can calculate using a mathematical transformative equation. I can then calculate the radius of my desk.
No, you cannot.
Are you serious?
No, you
You
cannot.
absolutely can. With two
cannot.
observers with 2 points.
No, you cannot, because the shadows on your desk will behave differently than the shadows on the round Earth. That's the whole point. The behavior of the shadow was proving that the sticks were vertically mounted on round objects.
Olaf, you do realize that in order for that to be proof of anything, according to the globe side, you need 3 points of observation, right? And that's again because you have to prove out the relationship between the shadows. Simply having the shadow being in different positions does not prove the shape of the object. In fact, this is not my opinion. This is something that can actually be done. You can do this with any length of shadow. You can calculate the radius of the ground that those shadows are being cast on because, again, it's a transformative equation that assumes an infinite distant light source. That's what I would have to do. I would assume that this light source right here is infinitely far away and that these shadows are being cast on a spherical object. That's the only 2 assumptions I need to be able to calculate the sphericity of my perfectly flat desk. Now, supposedly, the debunk, or to strengthen your claim, to strawman it, would be if I added a 3rd point, then I could do a mathematical calculation between these 3 shadows, and then I would be able to prove out, depending on how big the sphere is that I'm assuming, I could then prove out that the relationship between the shadows is linear versus exponential. Do you understand the difference between those 2 terms?
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. And do you understand why there's a difference in the relationship of the shadows?
No, I'm not familiar with this topic. No.
Okay, so if you look behind me at the presupposed ball, okay, we got this point over here. Let's say that this is a complete turn, a quarter turn from this point up here.
Mm-hmm.
Complete turn from this up here, right?
Yep.
Sorry, I just lost the point that I was just talking about. What was I just talking about? I'm sorry.
Eratosthenes, bro.
Eratosthenes, right?
Measuring the shadows.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
so the sun. Let's pretend that the sun.
Brain fart,
Let's
bro.
pretend that the sun is right where my troubling Tribune light is. Do you see that? Okay.
Yeah, the sun
Right.
is much farther, but okay.
Well, you get what I'm saying, though. That you're gonna see that the shadows are gonna be much longer, supposedly, than if it was a flat surface, because you're actually curving away from the light source completely. So eventually you just get to where it's complete shadow and you can't even see the light anymore. So what the claim is that there's a difference in the relationship versus a ball casting the shadows, or sorry, casting the shadows on a ball versus casting the shadows on a flat surface. So Eratosthenes didn't even do the experiment, right? He didn't have 3 observers. He only had 2, and that doesn't prove anything.
Yeah, but the point is that with your desk, you will see the source of light is very close. We know from the observation the source of light is very far away.
Which observation would that be?
Oh, just look at the shadow cast by the colander. It's like the dots on the colander will have equal distance between each other because the angle between the sunrise are parallel. So the source of the light is far, far away. If you do the experiment of colander on your desk, you will see that the spread, the conical shape of the shadow will show you where the sunrise are converging. So you will see the sun is very close. If you do it on the desk lamp, if you go outside, you will see the sun is far, far away. So
can I ask Olaf something?
If you put stick on the North Pole, yeah, the shadow will be infinitely long. Yeah. So I don't see what's your point with showing the Earth and this long shadows. I don't see.
Olaf, can I ask you something?
Sure.
When you're standing outside, and if the sun was at 12 o'clock, like right above your head, right?
Yeah.
You'll see it right above your head, right? And let's say it was 3-4 hours later, you would see it a little bit more in front of you, and like this, right? You see the sun falling to the horizon, right?
Yeah. Continue.
Right. Is this an actual motion of the sun, or is this something that maybe has to do with the way our eyes work?
Well, motion is relative. So when you are talking about motion of the sun, the Earth, you could, depending on where you put the point zero, you could describe motion of the sun, or you could describe motion of the Earth. I don't understand what you're asking about the eyes.
Okay, so during the day you see the sun fall to the horizon, right?
Yes.
Okay, does it really do that?
Well, it doesn't dunk in the ocean, if that's what you're asking.
Of course, but in your model, the sun goes to the horizon and it falls from, let's say if it was from 12 o'clock to your perspective, so let's say 5 or 6 o'clock, it falls to the horizon, right?
Well, it gets blocked by the Earth. It's blocked by the shadow of the Earth.
But my main point is that it falls to the horizon. So in your model, like being the heliocentric model, the sun is 93 million miles away or something like that, and it's going away from you, and the Earth is turning and it's falling down to the horizon. Do you know that that's actually something that we witness with perspective? It's not actually something that's really happening to the sun.
No, we don't, because we would see sun getting smaller, and we don't see sun being smaller. Perspective.
Okay, so if the sun,
smaller.
of course, that's fine. We can talk about that. But do clouds goes to the horizon and falls to the horizon? Actually, lies right on top of the horizon.
What? Clouds.
Even though the sun is 93 million miles away, but the clouds are way closer, it still does the same thing the sun does.
I don't understand what your question is.
The point is that the way that we see the sun, the clouds, the moon, and everything that goes above your head in the skies, it all converges to a point. This is called perspective, and this is called point of convergence.
No.
This doesn't mean that the sun is actually going down to the horizon.
No, it's not.
It's staying at the same height, but it's going far into the distance, and it looks like it's falling to the horizon, but it's actually not.
No, it's not.
So that's not the actual location of the sun.
All right.
it's our.
Sorry to cut you guys off,
I know.
but just to let you know, my guest box is starting to fill up, and we got probably about an hour left of the show. So I do want to try to cycle some guests and make sure that everybody's getting their points out. Geocentric, do stay put though for a moment. I don't know if we have any other flat earthers in. Olaf, I do appreciate you coming on. I'll let you make one last point here before we cycle you through. And the mesosphere, thank you for joining and being patient. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. I'll let Olaf finish first.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that there is a distinctive visible difference between just the perspective and rotation and hiding behind the obstacle. And if you then you have to a little bit read more about that, because perspective makes objects smaller when they are farther, when they move farther. And the moon disk or sun disk does not get smaller. You could do it taking welder's glass, welder's face mask, right? How do you call this? And you could look at the sun, and you could basically see the sun disk not being smaller when the sun is, rising or falling. That proves that there is no problem of perspective. This is really sun being hidden by the obstacle. An obstacle is curvature of the Earth. Go do this experiment yourself. Okay? It's not the
All right,
perspective.
so there's something called our atmosphere, and it hangs around at a very lower level that actually makes the sun bigger, and that's why the sun travels faster and the moon travels faster when rising or setting. And if you zoom in with an Nikon P900 or any camera that has like 2000 millimeter zoom out, so like they call it a telescopic lens or something like that, that's on a camera, you will see that the sun is heavily refracted before it sets.
Yes. At the couple seconds before actual set, yes. You are talking about the last 15 seconds of the sunrise and sun.
No, it's not just the last 15
But
seconds,
the point
bro.
I'm
It's like a
trying to
minute
make,
before it sets.
the point I'm trying to make, if it's perspective, the sun would be gradually smaller. When you have it right above your head, it will be the biggest, and it will be gradually getting smaller and smaller and smaller. At noon, it will be the biggest. At 5 o'clock would be half the size, and 10 p.m. in the summer it would be gone. Get the welder's glass,
Correct.
measure the disk. You will see that it will be the same size, the same radius of the sun disk whole day, and then last minute of the sunset, yes, you will have this refraction from the atmosphere. Okay?
Yeah, it's not 10 seconds. I live on an island. It's like a
10
minute.
seconds or
It's like a
60
minute.
seconds. The point is that the radius of the visible sun will be the same at noon and at 5 o'clock. Okay, and that disproves your perspective.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm sorry. Sorry, it's not.
It's all good. Olaf, thank you for joining us, giving us some great points to mull over. Feel free to join us again next time. I do want to get another glober in here. He's got a globe for his profile picture, so I do appreciate that.
Can you ask Geocentric to finish the point? How it is not disproving the perspective?
I could work you if you'd like.
Okay. Good night.
So we see in a perfect sphere around us, and this is regardless of the model. This is just how geometry works, and we do see in hyperbolic space. So, even with the sky is a plane above us. In fact, you would see it act as a sphere above you. So that's what we mean by the perspective issue. Why we wouldn't expect to see the sun shrink is because the sun is the same distance to the observer as it is when it rises, as it is when it's at noon, as it is when it is all the way out on the horizon. So we wouldn't expect to see it to change in size too much. But we have taken long videos with solar filters, and we have counted the pixels, and we have seen that it does change in angular size by a small bit, a small degree.
Why would it disappear then? If it's the same distance, why would it disappear?
Well, because the sky merges with the ground. So you can't see infinitely forever. You see in a perfect sphere around you, but you can't see forever in that sphere. It's hyperbolic. It's a feature of seeing in hyperbolic space.
Why it disappears 4 hours sooner in Los Angeles than in Florida?
Because there is a large distance of land between Florida and between California.
But the
How do you
sun is
go from
equal
sunsets
distance.
like
But the sun is
distance of
equal
It's
distance.
not so it's not rising for Florida at the same right, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying to the local observer, right, to the guy in Florida, when the sun rises, it's going to be the same distance or roughly the same distance as it is when it's directly overhead, as it is when it is all the way setting, right? It's a dome of perspective to the observer. And everybody's is different based on your position on Earth. So I appreciate you coming on, Olaf. I don't want to
What?
keep beating the dead
Dome of
horse in the
perspective?
circle.
Funny guys.
You can disagree if you like. That's fine.
The funny thing is that in neither of our models is the sun actually rising. It's not the right word for either of our models, which is kind of just a hilarious thing I just noticed. In your model, I think it's just spinning around the top, and in ours, we're rotating. So, but we
Accurate.
both say rise. Look at us. Look at us all being wrong together.
Nice, dude.
Um,
That's a very accurate observation. I like it already.
So I just wanted
yeah.
to, thanks for having me up. I was actually talking to Geo earlier this morning too about Antarctica, but I just wanted to really quickly, you were asking Olaf for some articles about Alaskan time zones. I have them. I would love to show them to you if you would indulge me. Let me
Sure.
just,
I mean, and don't get me wrong. I'm sure that they do have it, set up that they do it for political reasons or
yeah. Well,
whatnot.
it's
I just
more
think it's
for
a funny point that it's
business
used as
reasons.
a. I think it's funny that the longitude and latitude are used as points to prove the shape of the Earth.
Sure. So I am not going to show you any definitive proof that the Earth is a globe. Right? I'm going to show you that time zones aren't necessarily accurate, and that's intentional. So the longitudinal lines are not the same thing as the time zones. We all know that. Time zones are intended to make it be like noon, make it be noon when the sun's right above you. But it's not perfect, right? So if we all followed that, then like cities would be split in half on time, and that's annoying. So we adjusted the lines. And you can see here, this is alaska.gov. In 1983, Secretary Elizabeth Dole signed a plan to reduce the number of time zones in Alaska. So they did used to have four. They had four, and then the people of Alaska were complaining that trying to do work in Alaska was getting too complicated at different times. They didn't want to do the math, so they requested to have it changed. And this is, the not that I'm going to read this whole thing, but this is Congress.gov, the actual bill from 1983. You can scroll all the way the heck down here, and you'll see there is a part of it to redesignate time zones for Alaska and Hawaii. So literally a political decision in this case to go from four to two, and it is still two, although it's like 99% of it is one time zone and just like a little tiny bit isn't. So the size of Alaska
Yeah,
hasn't
just
changed, but they just divided the time up differently for really to make it more convenient for the people who live there, even though, it's going to be dark at some people and for other people during that spot. And one other kind of cool thing I'll show you about this is just a cool time zone history. It's an incomplete history that someone has made of different time zones from statoids.com, and it's pretty thorough. And you can see in 1983, there's the Alaska part right there. But also just notice like from here on to up to like 2010, like this is all within my lifetime, different changes, different counties just changing from mountain to central, from central to eastern. Different counties, different cities are just moving their times and changing it around. And all that I'm showing with this, and this goes back to 1883, is that changing your time and your time zones is like not uncommon. It happens fairly often. So this isn't something that they did to try to like hide the real size of Alaska. It was just something that they do normally to make time more convenient for people who are working. And if you want to see something even weirder, Australia is more fucked up than anything because they have time zones that are north and south. That's crazy, right? But only like during daylight savings, half of this
have
goes up, and that goes like what?
in
I
the
don't know
southern
what they're doing over there.
hemisphere. Yeah,
Yeah,
in the southern hemisphere, there's like 32 time zones, and in the northern hemisphere, there's like 19. Somehow, in the northern hemisphere, there's like hourly time zones, so it's by the hours, and in the
sure. Well,
southern
and here
hemisphere,
here
there's
you
a
can
lot of
see where
time.
there would be
They're
where there'd be one. So
weird.
right above this, we have China as all having one, and down here they've decided to divide them up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, there's 7-to-1 ratio right there from the northern to southern hemisphere, and it's all a political thing, not based on like how big the land masses are. So that's all I wanted to share with you guys.
It's something
Yeah,
that
time zones are just arbitrary, decided by local governments to best fit the local needs.
It doesn't
Doesn't.
it's
prove a
not
globe.
something
It
that
does not at all prove a globe.
once
I'm not saying that it does.
once
Just
again,
because you
it's
asked
not
for
something
the
that we brought
Doesn't
up.
prove a
article
globe.
there.
Doesn't prove
Yeah.
flat Earth. It doesn't prove the shape of anything.
I think we
Yeah,
all
but once
agree.
again, we didn't bring that.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we agree with that.
I think
That's
Olaf
what
was a little bit stuck on
a
it.
lot of globies say, that it proves the globe. That's why it was brought up before.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah, no.
it's a stronger claim for a rotating globe, I believe. But like I said, you can't really concretely define the shape either way.
Right. The thing that gets said on our side of the fence all the time is that you can't really prove the shape of what you're standing on by looking at the lights in the sky. The fact is regardless of what the real world observations are, we're trying to ascertain. We're working backwards, trying to ascertain the cause. And we're just simply saying, well, the cause is due just to this Earth shape. You have to take the extra step to then try to verify that Earth shape. So. We can get into some other stuff. We can get into that. We still got like 30 more minutes of the show, so you guys got plenty of time to make some good points. I appreciate you coming on and being cordial.
Absolutely, thank you. I'll step down after one other thing. I just want to ask Gio, did you get a chance to look any more into the sun compass things that
Oh, I
Richard
did
Byrd was
not, bro.
using?
I was out the whole
Okay.
day. I just got home a while ago.
Yeah.
Saw him online,
I
and I
haven't
jumped
either
in the
since
water.
then. I mean, I found
But
that
I
out
look at
this
it
morning
right
too.
now.
But yeah.
I look at it right now. It's a
I'm going to
sun.
step down because my kids are asleep and I don't want to talk too much. But basically, it was just that Richard Byrd didn't use a magnetic compass. That wasn't what they used to navigate at all. It was a sun compass and a dead reckoning and 1/3 type of navigation. Oh, just a sextant. Yeah. So the whole thing of them being liars because the compass wouldn't work there. Well, they didn't use a regular compass, so that doesn't really mean anything then. It doesn't prove a globe, but it doesn't,
Yeah.
disprove anything really. All right, I'm gonna step down. Thanks for having me up. I've watched it a few times and I'm a super cordial glober, so I'll be back around. I promise.
Absolutely. We'd be happy to have you in anytime, my friend.
Take care, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason that I was talking about the compasses of the 4 explorers that went to Antarctica, it's because I chose these 4 explorers: Shackleton, Admiral Burt, Tom Crean, and one more. It was 4. Shackleton, Admiral Burt,
Amundsen.
Tom Crean, Amundsen, Roald Amundsen. I'm sorry. So the reason I chose them is because they have the most video evidence of a documentary going to the South Pole, and the reason why I don't believe that they used a sun compass is because they don't even show in any of the documentaries them using any compasses, any map makings. So it's not just for compasses, but it's for map makings also. They don't show that. If you're like in unknown land and you're plotting new land as you go, you would show the guys working and plotting actual maps. But in all the video evidence that they have, they don't show neither of them. And of course, he found an article, and that supposedly proves what he used, but I don't see it like that. I see it as if it was recorded, and that's the tool that they were using to actually navigate to the south, which is kind of weird because the sun doesn't work that well into the south in Antarctic. I'm not gonna go into that discussion right now, but they don't show any of it, so that's why I don't vibe with that at all.
So are you saying because you didn't see what type of navigation they used, that it wasn't possible for them to do it, or I don't get what you're saying.
I'm saying that if you're actually doing something for the first time, you will actually show what you were using to traverse the southern pole while everybody else uses a compass.
I mean, if you were just making a documentary for entertainment purposes, not necessarily. It'd be boring as hell to watch people sitting over a map trying to figure out where. And how many times did they sit there scratching their heads and be like, "Oh shit, guys, I think we might be lost." So, Again, it's something interesting to think about for sure. I never even really thought about the way that they actually specifically navigated down there. But shout out to F'd Up World in the chat, legend. DJ, sorry, I'm squinting to read your name. DJ,
Just DJ is fine.
awesome, man. So you got something that you look like you want to show us. I want to make sure that you get the time.
Yeah.
So go ahead, my friend.
So so we were talking about the sun setting, and then so I was kind of doing some of the like simple math with the flat Earth. So when the sun, we're saying that the sun traverses the equator during spring and fall. So if it's traversing the equator, then that means with the equator radius of 3,963 miles, then that means at sunset, somebody here on the equator line as well, at sunset, ground distance to the sun would be, 5,605 miles. We say that on the flat Earth, it can be as low as 3,000 up to 10,000 is what I hear for how high the sun is. So a ground distance of 5,605 miles with a height of 3,000 would mean at sunset, the degree at which the sun is in the horizon is 28.12 degrees. So at sunset, it's supposed to be at the horizon, but according to the math, it's supposed to be 28 degrees up in the sky, which this is exactly 28 degrees. So how would the sun even get close to the horizon on a flat Earth at sunset? And there's no amount of refraction that can make up 28 degrees. So we can't use refraction or convergence.
Before we continue, I do want to welcome Bill Zimmerman to the show. Welcome. Are you a flat earther, a globe earther, or something else?
I believe the Earth is round.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. All right, well, go ahead and continue, DJ, and then we'll address your point. And Bill, if you have something to add, you can add as well.
Well, my main question is, how can we say that on the flat Earth that the sun is at the horizon when at sunset it's 28 degrees in the sky? And I chose the lowest of the heights for the sun because it says between 3 and 10. So if it's any higher than 3,000, that angle is going to increase. So that's why I chose the very lowest of what's been said.
So does that, with that math equation, that's just standard Euclidean geometry, correct?
Yeah, it's just standard right triangle geometry.
Got it. So if we weren't seeing in curved visual space, then you would have something there. Because when you're doing the math and you're doing the angles, you can account for refraction. It only gives you so much. You're absolutely right. However, this is all based on the massive assumption that we've been going on where if you believe in the mainstream, for thousands of years, since the Greeks, that the geometry that we're seeing is all Euclidean. And the truth is, and there's actually I've seen reference for it. I don't have them right off the top of my head, but I can get them. One of which is, I think I can remember the name of one of them at least, hyperbolic, no, I can't remember it. Something to do with how we see in hyperbolic space. But anyway, there is papers that will be coming up here pretty soon on my channel that we'll be going through, but basically showing that our assumption of us, how we're seeing, and the, light traveling in these perfectly straight lines is actually incorrect. The straight lines are actually curving, and the curve is more exaggerant the more distance that there is.
Because
So,
it's around Earth.
well, no, because we see in curved visual space.
And stuff converges to a point. This is the first thing you learn in art class. Literally.
So if you were in empty, if you were in like empty space just surrounded by stars, it would still look like a sphere, a perfect sphere around you.
Okay, can I ask you guys a question? What do you think the power of mankind or whatever it would have to be to put a bunch of flat discs out there, way the hell out there, and move this stuff around and do this 365 times a year for everything to be flat, and it just happened to be that far away and
Yeah, we don't
all
believe
this
that.
stuff?
So I'll save you some
I
time,
know you're
Bill. Hold on, the model that you're thinking is not what we believe in. We don't believe that we're a flat pancake floating in a solar system with all these massive,
okay.
flat things all pointed towards us perfectly to
Okay,
make it look like we're living like that.
what is all that out there then?
We think
What
that
is
we're
all that?
basically the basement of our universe and that everything else is just up and that there are lights in the sky. The only things that don't get seen as pinpoints of light are going to be some of the planets, supposedly, although I
You
haven't
say
seen them
there's
without
lights
being
in the
rendered through a
sky?
computer,
You say
and the sun and the moon.
wait. You say lights in the sky, right?
Yeah, lights in the sky.
Okay, what kind of lights are they? What's producing them? Because
That's a
last
good
time I
question.
checked,
You have firsthand knowledge.
last time I checked, if I'm sitting in the dark and I turn on a flashlight, I'm creating the light, correct?
Sure.
Okay, so what do you think are those lights out there in the sky? You say they're just lights out there in the sky. Yeah, they're lights out there in the sky, but what do you think? What?
Okay, so I get what you're asking.
This is the part.
Bill,
This
I
is the
get what
part I
you're
want
asking.
you to know.
You don't have to monologue it, right? You're asking about, do we just have lights in the sky? We're not the ones with a claim of specificity of what the lights in the sky are. It is obvious and demonstrable that we see something. Hold on, Bill. Jesus Christ, you're about to get kicked. It is demonstrable and obvious. All right, Bill, you're getting kicked. All right, Bill. Bye, Bill. If you can't not talk over people, you're going to get kicked. So what we have is a observation that there are lights in the sky that you can then even go a step further and say they appear to be spherical. I'd give you that. The lights in the sky don't prove the shape of what we're living on. You're assuming a whole entire model of the solar system and infinite space and a vacuum and a fairy tale, essentially, to basically batter us over the head and call us stupid for saying that we're an even dumber version of that model. We're not saying that we're that model at all. So, go
DJ,
ahead, whoever's next.
Yeah, DJ, can I bring something forward to you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how we've been told since we were little that everything that we see in the skies, like planets, stars, and the sun and the moon, is way bigger than us, and they're so far out into the distance, and they're so big and giant in size. Yeah, right? Everybody knows this. Okay?
Yep.
So take that mentality of the distance and the size and the large numbers and scale it down to like I'm not gonna give you an exact number, of course not, because I cannot go there, you cannot go there, he cannot go there, nobody can go there.
Be right
Scale
back.
it down by like 98.
Well, we can
Scale it down by like
there.
98%.
We've sent stuff there.
Well, yeah,
We've
that's what
sent
you
stuff
believe.
there, so we know the sizes of like the planets within our solar system, size of the sun. We know it.
We cannot even get to the moon. We cannot even get to the moon, which in the 1960s they took 72 hours to get there. Now in 2023,
you
they've
can
taken the
deny
same
that.
thing.
We've done it. You can deny it and claim it's fake. But
You've done what
we've
right
done
now in 2023? What have we done now?
We've gone to the moon. Yes,
So
exactly.
so
Yeah.
Elon Musk had a rocket that had 33 engines. Back in the days, in the 1960s, it took them 3 engines to get to the moon 72 hours away and coming back. Elon Musk had a rocket that had 33 engines and it
Saturn V had a lot
exploded.
more than Saturn V had a lot more than 3 engines. Just to get off the rocket pad and get up into orbit, that was 5 engines, but there was, I believe, 3 more additional engines after that point as well.
Yeah, okay, but it's 50 years, man. If you believe that, that's fine. If you believe that there's sun and
But
stuff over there, that's fine. That's all.
What's your point with Elon Musk's rocket? I mean, that one that had the 30 some it was just a test to get it off the launch pad.
Yeah, collect data,
So
right?
they
Wait
weren't.
for the money and explode it.
What's that?
Collect data, waste a lot of money and explode it. That was his actual
Well,
goal.
it
Now
wasn't
he's
a
getting a
waste.
very
That
bad
they're
track
test.
record because there's parts washing up on the oceans, and people are hating
So
him for that. Is that
when they
science?
when they manufacture a new car, do they destroy a whole bunch of those prototype cars for test?
So did they lost the schematics?
Well, it makes sense to test the rocket before you actually go through with the actual mission, correct? Would you agree with that statement that it's proper
Um,
and wisest
it,
to test the systems and test the rockets prior to
yes,
putting people inside them?
yes, and it will be way better if they
Okay, so
actually have a vacuum that is almost like the vacuum of space here on Earth, and they can test all the parts in before they send it out. But they have none. None of the
well
contractors
the
that are
the
sending
rock
parts to NASA
the rocket
actually
is
test
very big,
inside a
so there's
vacuum.
not a big enough vacuum in order to test a lot of those pieces in. Because vacuums have to withstand an enormous amount of pressure to maintain its wall structure when creating a vacuum. So even the largest uh, vacuum in the world
That's funny you
has
say
to
that because
have
most of the globe
like
most of
12
the globies
foot
here say it's
walls,
just
cement
15
walls or
psi.
something.
Yeah,
What's that?
most of the globies here just say it's 15 psi.
No, when
That's
you
what they're
create a
claiming now.
vacuum,
That's what they're claiming now.
yeah, yeah, pounds per square inch. But when you add square inch over the entire area, that's a huge amount of pressure.
Yeah, we'll tell it to the globies.
They agree with that as well. That over the entire thing, there's a
Okay,
huge amount
so
of
so
pressure.
so let me rephrase this. They say that
Yeah,
the pressure
they'll
is not a
agree
problem.
14.7
It's
pounds per square inch.
14.7
But when
psi.
you
Well, that
understand the
should be
difference
easy.
between a
That should be
square
easy to
inch,
work with.
right? And increasing that over a larger area, right? That would increase the amount of pressure, like the load that's on the wall, right?
Yeah, I get you. I get you. But
So
okay,
yeah,
okay.
you need to have it. There's a huge amount of force, and to create a vacuum that large, it's not feasible to create a vacuum that large to test the stuff in.
Can I ask you something? Did we lost the schematics from 1960s?
No, we have all the stuff. We have the
Okay,
rockets. How can we lose? Like,
okay.
no, we've
So we
never
have the
once
rockets, we have the
lost.
schematics, we have the rockets, we
No,
have the
we have.
schematics. Just like taking an old car and take its schematics and rebuilt it, will that car like fall apart before it runs for like a couple of miles, or will it run like it did 60 years ago for like 10 miles or 100 miles?
I
We
don't
know
get
how to
what you're
build
trying
it.
to
We
add.
know how to do the seals. We know
Yeah,
everything already
we
because it
know
was
how
done
we have
before.
this. Okay, stop. You have the schematics and you know how to build a Saturn V rocket. Are we trying to build another Saturn V rocket? No.
No,
We're
we're
building
taking
an
the same
entirely
concept
different
from the.
rocket.
We're taking the same
Yeah,
concept and
concepts,
applying
fine.
to a new rocket. Is it gonna be that difficult to do?
You're still redesigning an entire rocket. So yeah, like it takes work to do that.
Hmm.
I don't understand why you think it just automatically transfers over and it's just, oh well, we already have the information, so just build it and go. Like that doesn't make sense to me at all. And I
That's
think that's
fine,
kind
bro.
of a
If you want to
ridiculous
do that,
claim to make.
yeah, sure.
So yeah, they're building an entire new rocket with new like they're updating every single system in there, building new electronics, new computers. So the rockets that they have designed today and they're using today, besides just having a rocket that thrusts you in the air, everything else about the rocket is completely different than the Saturn V's.
Okay, you do know that they have no computers back then.
they have computers, but they are very, 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 very low
Manual,
computing power. Like they were
very
very,
manual. Yes.
yeah, they were very, very shitty computers, but I mean, it was able to do what they needed to do, which is why
Shall we
the
play
new
a game?
rockets are having updated computers. So, yes, of course, like
Better
they,
technology, better
they,
aerodynamics, better engines, better everything, but it keeps on exploding.
which one exploded?
I just told you the one with the 33 engines, the biggest
No, no,
rocket
no.
that was ever made.
That
Excuse
one
me.
was self-detonated. There's a difference between that and then it just happening to explode. They
Guys,
purposely ended that flight.
I am lost in the sauce. I just got back here, so what in the heck are we even talking about?
Going back to the moon.
Going back to the moon?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if we're talking about going back to the moon, then why is nobody like why is there not like a whole bunch more people betting on it, right? Like Jaron tried to do a whole because they said they were going back in 2024, and now they're saying that there's almost no chance of that at all, and just really really funny the whole
Did they figure
going
out how to
back to
get
the
through
I
the
moon
Van
haven't
bit.
Allen belt yet?
I haven't heard anything about them not completing it. Like they've already out who
Did
go.
you hear,
I
DJ?
guess
Did you hear of the Japanese private company?
the what?
The private,
Jesus.
the private Japanese company.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so there was a private Japanese company that somehow got taxied by Elon Musk, one of Elon Musk's rockets, to the moon. This is about like 2 weeks ago or something like that. It wasn't like that long ago, and it actually orbited the moon. All of the images was CGI. Literally, they said it themselves. It's CGI. They've released a clip that was like maybe 5 seconds long or 10 seconds long that they say it was real and it looks completely CGI. And then when it's tried to land on the moon, it crashed, and that was the end of it. And the guy walked away with probably maybe like 2/10 of $100 million that he robbed from the public in donations.
Truth,
I
facts,
haven't heard anything about that, but
Oh, I can show it
I
to you right now.
so I
I'll
will
show
say I
you the
don't
name
think
of it. You can
I don't
you
I
can look
don't
it up
think
later.
that has anything to do with whether we went to the moon or not, right?
If I
So
can
I'll
interject,
agree. You say that that thing was fake, and I'll agree with you that that thing was fake. That doesn't prove that we went to the moon already.
so. We can't. We're off in La La Land. It's not going to prove the shape of the Earth. Truth, facts, theory. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being patient, my friend. You looked like you had something you were trying to show before you turned your camera off there.
Yeah.
well, no, that was just a diagram for the. I guess I don't know if it was this DJ or the previous guest that had his triangle up there, and I think he was using the wrong one. That may have helped him if he was still on here.
I didn't.
That was
Okay,
just for
gotcha.
reference. But
I didn't look at it. Sorry.
I had that up before I joined. I didn't realize I still had that shared.
No worries, my friend. So are you a globe earther?
Stationary and non-rotating.
Stationary and non-rotating. Nice. So not the typical glober that we get in here then.
Correct.
That's very cool. One thing that I think is very hard to debate is geocentrism. I think that there's almost no debate there. So you're in good company.
Well, yeah.
Geosysm?
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, you said geosysm?
No, it's geocentric.
Oh, geocentrism. Okay, all right.
Figured your name would make you have a little bit of understanding of that. A little, I would hope.
Yeah, of course. Geocentric, right?
As far as the moon, or whatever you want to call it, I think the bigger question is, let's argumentatively say that we did go to the moon. Great. But the Van Allen belts were a major concern. If you take 35 millimeter film or whatever film they had at that time, you can argument of that, whether it's whatever specialized camera they had, coming through that radiation, how did that film still stay intact? And since it didn't, and maybe it was, lost, stolen, or, demolished, or, whatever happened to it, whatever they say, and then they made this sort of movie to prove it, so to speak. Why is that lie there? I think that is a little bit more feasible to understand and admit that, hey, yeah, we went there, we came back, but all the film was damaged, so we can't really prove it, so we're going to make up this movie about it, so to speak. There's still a lie there. I mean, there's still a certain factor, like why there's too many coincidences that just don't make sense to me. I don't think
don't know where you get I don't get where you get the claim that all the film was damaged, because we have thousands of photos brought back by the astronauts that went to the moon.
Okay, yeah,
In
photos, film.
Yeah,
there's a difference.
Photos and film. We have a ton. If you Google March to the Moon, NASA worked with State University and allowed them to scan all the negatives that they have for their films and for video and film, like photos and films. They allowed them to scan all the stuff that they have and archive it. So you have everything from Mercury, Gemini, and also Apollo as well. And with the Apollo, that also includes all the missions that went to the moon. So if you just Google March to the Moon, you're able to see all their photos.
So that is, I will address that point. I will say that is some weak sauce, just to be honest with you. And the reason why that's weak as hell is because it's admitted that they lost the footage, that they lost the reels. And it's true that maybe they scanned them beforehand and somebody else has them now. Basically what you're saying is, oh, we lost the link to the proof, essentially. Scanning something else basically gives them the out of why you're not able to actually scrutinize the film. Because normally what you could do is you could scrutinize the original film, you can find anomalies, you can find where there were edits, cuts, and things like that. But if you film a film, now everything's on one smooth reel. So, in my opinion, it doesn't help the people who believe that we went to the moon. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to bring up one fact or one question. I guess I can, if I may. You go out at nighttime. You look up. You see these wandering lights or stars, so to speak, and pick one that's not within our galaxy, so to speak. One that's millions of light years away, so called. We can see that light. Obviously, we go out at night, we see that light. So if it's picking a number, 5 million light years away, and then I look at another one, and that one's 10 million light years away. Wouldn't there have to be an extreme size difference for that light? Comparatively, let's go closer to us with the heliocentric model of the sun.
Real quick,
if the sun was 2 times, give me 30 more seconds, please. If the sun was 2 times more further away from us, would it be smaller or bigger? It would be smaller. Now make it millions of light years away. How can we still see it? And why is the size difference from our perspective down here being able to see that flashlight, so to speak, millions of light years away?
Okay, so first I would say the stars that we see in the sky, every single one that we can see in the sky are a different galaxy. Galaxy is so far away that we can't even see any of the stars within it or might not even be able to see it in our night sky. So we can't choose a star from a different galaxy. Every star that you see in the sky is going to be within our own galaxy.
I'm going to make a quick announcement. I just that is not a hack account. That is actually my backup account that just commented, MrTribune. If y'all lovely folks will go ahead and follow that backup now, that way in case this live ever goes down, we can have a backup up in no time, and you guys can always catch that sweet, sweet True Earth debate action. Thank you for your time, and go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just stepped out for like 4 minutes. I'm so sorry. Wasn't my intention.
No
So
worries.
But
if anybody was saying something to me,
no,
just repeat it. If not,
no,
yeah, that's fine.
I'm just stating that the stars that we see in the sky, we can only see the ones that are within our own galaxy. And of course, even looking at the stars that are within our galaxy in the night sky, there are some size differences to what we can see of the stars that are visible to our naked eye, and the stars that we can see in the telescope. And then there's still stars within our galaxy that we can't even see just from the Earth's surface, that we'd have to use like Hubble telescope or stuff like that to see some of those other ones. So there's definitely a difference in the amount of light that we receive from the stars that we see in the sky and size.
So basically, what you're saying is that we could definitely tell that there's a difference in size, but what does that have to do with the shape of the Earth?
I was just trying to answer his question. Like, for shape of the Earth, I mean, it's hard. It's I don't really want to get into rotation of the stars. Can show you, like, based off of the star trails are going to help you get into that, just because lately, I don't know if it's just you, but lately that's just been overdone, and I'm just kind of tired of that argument
Yeah, I hear you.
with star trails.
We try to keep them as fresh as we can, right? But it is
Yeah.
true. There are only so many different types to cover, right, when it comes to this sort of thing. So that's why I do try to keep it
Yeah.
laser focused, and we try to actually get the best scientific evidence that we can for whatever model.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I'm trying to think.
So one thing I can bring
Yeah.
up is a flight that I
Mm-hmm.
took from where I'm from in the Caribbean to Colombia. Um, Somehow, and it's been said by other globers also, when I told them this, that when I got up to 30,000 feet, of course it's not really 30,000 feet, but that's the average flight of an airplane. Somehow I saw less stars. That's number one. And I zoomed in on a star, and well, I'm not gonna even say this, but I saw way less stars in an airplane than when I was on the ground floor, which is kind of weird. Like, it's more like they're more like spaced out, and if there's anybody that has ever seen this and witnessed it with their own eyes, that will be great to chime in, because that says a lot. That says a lot if it's
Yeah.
really true.
I don't know. I haven't the. I haven't taken too many flights at night. In the flights that I did at night, I was a long time ago. And I wasn't really paying attention to the
Yeah, it's
stars in
really
the
hard to
sky.
catch night
So
flights. Yeah, of course. But I try to find any flights I take, I'll take at night. That's just what I do.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
Hey,
So
anybody.
I
Geocentric,
don't
I got
really know.
another flat earther in the box. Would you mind go ahead and cycling out?
Yeah, sure.
Just
That's
want to make
perfect,
sure that we
man.
give at least one more person on our side of the fence a chance, and we'll probably go through like one or two more arguments and call it a day. I appreciate
Thank
everybody
you, bro.
tuning
Thank you for
in.
having me on.
You have anything else you
Yeah,
want to
thank you
say
for having
before
me
you
on.
kick off?
No, not really. I'll catch you on another day and another
Alrighty.
debate, bro.
Appreciate you
Take
coming
care,
Okay,
bro.
on.
I mean, okay, so I do have this to say. So I do cover like more topics of Antarctica, like specifically oriented on Antarctica, and I do want to know like everybody's story, if they have anything to add to any of these four guys: Roald Amundsen, Tom Shackleton, Tom Crean, or Admiral Burt.
I would
Because
love to show you a video, but literally I tried posting it again, I think now within 30 minutes.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, maybe that's the time I'm
Yeah.
on. So if you can catch me on, that will be fine. I'm sorry, I don't have no set time. It's all random. We have two business that we run, so I just get on when I have time. Anyways, guys, take care. Have a good day.
Much
Have a
love.
Take
good
care,
night.
Gio.
Thank you, Tribune. Bye bye.
Anytime.
With the flight patterns, I've heard a common argument. That I think a popular one is the flight from Chile to Australia. That yes, there are direct flights for that. However, whenever you try to schedule, and everybody can go on whatever booking service they want to use, schedule a flight from Chile to Sydney, and with one stop, two stop, three stops. Those stops are LAX, Houston, Texas.
Well,
To me,
yeah.
that makes
So
no sense on why they would traverse or from the southern hemisphere, go all the way up to the northern hemisphere, and then back down to the southern hemisphere again. Whether or not
it
it's the flight path that they're taking for safety, for customers, but it's
no,
weirdly
usually
ironic that
when
on the
they're
flat Earth model, it's a straight line.
so usually uh, if they're gonna stop, because we there are nonstop flights. I don't know. Yeah, I think it is from Chile to Australia and Chile to New Zealand. There are some nonstop flights. The ones
Right.
that do have flights, the reason why they do it to Northern Hemisphere city or North America is strictly just maximizing profit. That's all that it is. It it's easier to get, you know, a full plane to go to the Northern Hemisphere and then drop some people off and then get more people on and then have another flight going to Australia. It's easier to do that because there's so much more population in the Northern Hemisphere in North America than there is in South America. There's more of a demand going to Australia in North America. So just to maximize profits, that's the reason that they would do it.
I would
It has
semi
nothing to do with
I would semi agree with
it.
you, but go ahead and book one of those flights and see what a ticket cost is for a nonstop and see what a ticket cost is with one or two stops. Because traditionally, if you take a stop, it's going to be a cheaper ticket. Whereas for that one, for some reason,
Yeah, it's almost
doesn't
like
seem
they're
to be
trying
the same.
to encourage people to buy the one with stops. But in any case, the thing that I found it interesting is that just a specific response to this point, if I could get one, and that
Please.
don't you think it's ironic that it does happen, just so happen to go in a straight line on a flat Earth map, and if that, and that's I know that that's not the only flight path. There's actually a book that has 13, I believe, flight paths in it, but there are several. So I mean, isn't that a little weird? Even though it's just for convenience sake or for profit's sake. I mean, isn't it odd that there just so happens to line up on a AE map?
I it's merely coincidence, like if that,
Surely.
because I mean you can have other flights. If you're taking a flight from like Mobile, Alabama to Mexico City, you're going to have to go the opposite direction. You're going to have to go north, east, or west in order to get on a connecting flight to connect you to Mexico City. You're going to be going a different way than where you're actually trying to get to. But that's maximizing profits for it. So it there's plenty of other flights like the uh, what is it? Australia to Johannesburg. If you want to look at those, that's a nonstop flight through the southern hemisphere as well.
It's the same issue.
And same issue of what?
So the thing that happens with the other flight that was mentioned, the same thing happens with the flight that you just mentioned. It's very difficult to book. They actually have the one with stops being, cheaper to try to encourage people to be taking that one. And I actually haven't seen any, and to this day, actually, and I've asked back about a year ago when I started doing this, I asked for verification of this flight, and I haven't had anybody produce it.
what type of verification would you need?
Somebody taking the flight, filming themselves, and having a compass or something to verify their location while they're taking the
Yeah,
flight.
which mo- pretty much everybody, all of us on these, don't really know anybody down there, and I'm guessing that most of the people down there don't have the same type of arguments of Earth and globe we have. So, yeah, I would assume that it would be very difficult to try and find somebody that's going to confirm
Well,
that.
what device would you suggest that if somebody would take this flight pattern would be a good device to measure this location? Or
I'm up for
Well,
brainstorming on that. I know
yeah.
compasses can be problematic because they're influenced by the metal of the plane, supposedly.
Hmm.
So maybe not a compass, but I don't know. I really don't know
I mean,
off the top of my head.
there's flight tracking systems that you can monitor
They blink.
flight all around the globe.
I almost always see
I
them.
don't know if
Actually, I say almost. Everyone that I've actually personally looked at, it has blinked over the southern hemisphere, and I think that's pretty weird.
I haven't tried it before, so I don't know. I
Would
just
you
know that.
would you agree that that would be
Hmm,
pretty weird? Like if you go and check it tonight and you find out that it is like blinking across the southern hemisphere, would you? I wonder what you would think about that.
I mean, I would have to look into it of reasons why I would have that, but
How many? So
I mean,
this is the follow up on that thought. I know that you have somewhere you want to go, but just on that thought, though, again, it's weirdly coincidental, right? That we're measuring multiple ways that go line of sight, but there just so happens to be different things to bounce and bend the wave or the light. And then on top of that, we have flight paths that just so happen to line up perfectly on the flat Earth. And then on top of that, we have what we were just discussing. So it's just like all these coincidences. At what point would it be like, okay, that's probably just a BS excuse? Because I mean, do we really expect them to not have an answer for an anomaly if possible?
well, I don't know how many coincidence. Like the only coincidence that I kind of think is they're going from South America to Australia. If you're having a layover strictly in like the U.S., it kind of lines up with it. That I would consider that like a coincidence for the flat Earth, but I don't know how the others are coincidences. So I just don't see enough evidence to with flight paths to definitively say either way, or to I'm sorry,
Have you heard
well,
of the emergency?
definitive evidence to and say it's flat Earth. But from what we do see on those nonstop flights, based off the flight path that they take, that completely matches up with the globe.
Have you heard of the book 16 emergency landings that prove the flat Earth?
I've heard of the book, but I have not looked into it. But
Okay.
from what I hear, it's not that great of a source.
So,
Yeah,
do you have what would be your best like positive evidence towards the globe Earth?
I mean, I think the best is one of the first ones that we have, the Aristarchus of Samos, when he calculated the distance and diameter of the sun and moon, uh, using taking measurements during the half moon, during a total solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, and full moon. You're able to the use mathematics with that with your observations to determine the distance and diameter of both the sun and the moon
With no assumptions, or how did he
with
measure?
no assumption.
How did he measure the distance to the sun and moon during the eclipse exactly?
So it's it's kind of hard to. So you have to use information that you gather from the half moon. You can use that with the total solar eclipse, get some additional information also with the lunar eclipse
But
and the full moon.
what information are we
It,
looking for
it's
specifically?
so like with the half moon, uh, you try you end up making a triangle between the half moon, Earth, and the sun,
Okay.
and getting that degree of change, like 90 degrees to the from moon to the sun and the Earth, that ends up making a triangle with that theta at 89.8 degrees. So you're able to get information off of that with the half moon. I think you were going to say something on that.
So you're saying that he measured accurately. I mean, this is the first that I'm hearing Aristarchus measuring accurately a distance to the sun and moon. Was it how accurate was it?
Uh, it was within 1%.
With him, so he got it. Okay, so now I know that you're probably just incorrect. We've changed our AU astronomical unit, which is the distance to the sun. We've changed that 7 times just in known history, and they weren't small changes either. One was 100 million miles. One was like 100,000. So there's like a wide range of guesses that we had, and so you're saying that well, the guy before had it within 1%. Where's
So
the
you
source for that?
using the same method that he did today with I'm the information that I saw, they might have used more updated measurements because I don't think Aristarchus got a theta of 89.853 degrees to the sun. I think it might have been a little bit more general, but using that same method that he did, we're able to get a little bit better, more accurate numbers with that. So using those more accurate numbers, but still using his method, yes, we're able to get within 1% of, I believe the results, what, distance to the sun was, what, 152.76 million kilometers, which is within 1% of what we say the average is.
Incredible. It's almost as if it was reverse engineered to be perfect. But what do I
No,
know?
because
We've only done that with
they,
Einsteinian
yeah,
mechanics, in the last 100 years. So
no, I mean, they have his papers. I saw a picture of one of his papers showing what he was doing with it. So
Aristarchus didn't write on paper. He was
I'd have to
chiseling.
double check.
He was chiseling. Everybody
He
knows
was,
this.
He was writing on stationery. Come on.
it was what, 280 BC, I think.
Yeah,
Papers.
and that would just be a story too, right? Like if we were just say Aristarchus measured it, right? That would be like me saying, well, my great granddad measured the Earth and proved definitively that it was flat. It's not an actual argument, right? And with you not knowing the actual method of how it was done, it's really hard to formulate an argument.
Okay, even if we say it's a story, if we still use that story and use the method from the stories with the measurements that we do today, and we get the measurement, it shows what it's at, why would saying the story is the accurate
Well, there's a lot of limits in that,
measurements of
right?
it?
Like we haven't actually done any of that. I don't even know the method, the equation of what you're talking about. So that's why I said it's kind of hard to formulate a argument against it. And since it's been provided at this point without, positive proof of it being accurate, I think it would be fair for me to dismiss it until you at least showed the equation.
So here, because it's too long to go into it on here, like over every single step. So like I said, there's like 5 different steps with it, and but look, if you there's a pretty good video. It's an easy video called "Calculating Distance and Diameter of Sun and Moon." It's a YouTube video, and it goes more in depth of how it was figured out. And I think it might explain it a little bit better than what I could on this. But it does show that just taking basic measurements of what we observe, not assuming anything, we're able to figure out distances to
How would you
figure
know
out
that
those
you were right to
distances.
the distance?
How will we know that we're right?
Yeah, so you say he
Mathematics.
calculated it and he was correct within 1%. How do you know that?
How do we know that he's right
Who
within one?
verified?
The math matches up. The mathematics matches up.
So
Matches what?
you have a mathematical model of what it could be. You don't have an actual measurement.
Well, yes, we have measurements. Do you want, if you want to say nah to them, like we've sent probes to the sun. We know exactly how far away the sun is.
How did we
on
send
average,
probes? How did we send probes to the sun if the sun is a big burning ball of heat, burning billions of, or sorry,
Yeah,
however the heck hot it is?
they-
I know it's hot enough to melt a drone.
Yeah, they were destroyed being sent into the sun. They're still able to send data on the way into the sun when getting destroyed in the sun. So we don't have those probes anymore. Yeah, they burnt up in the sun. But we still sent it and we're still able to receive the telemetry data and everything. So we were able to know.
So who's we? It's obviously
Science?
not all of you. It's not obviously all of humanity or any private company, right? Like,
It's all the information was a NASA probe, and NASA has to make all their information available. So
well, let me make it clear.
all
Let me
the
make this logically. Let me try to put this logically into perspective, right? Let's forget about the authority or anything like that. If I had made a claim that I'm Jesus or I'm a Jesus incarnate, and that I have proof of this because I actually have already resurrected and have flown up in the sky to a certain location. Let's just say I've flown to the moon, right? And I can tell you that we definitely have proof that I've flown to the moon because I have tracked myself. We have telemetry data from the stuff that I was wearing, and here is the data on my computer for where I went to the moon. Would that then be clear, definitive evidence that I in fact did everything that I just said? Or would we agree that what I just said is a story?
that's kind of a ridiculous straw man argument towards
I
NASA.
made it ridiculous for the point of so that it would be very obvious and easy to see that just saying a story and that data on a screen to back up that story is actually not empirical scientific proof.
So you're saying everything that NASA puts out is a lie, is basically what you're trying to say?
It's not scientific evidence until they do an experiment for the world to see.
NASA makes the stuff available, and scientists have used the information gathered from NASA to
I have a question also,
the stuff
DJ
out.
Box. You might not know this one, but why is it that they don't do the experiments live? Why do they always have to go do like a pre-recorded feed?
For which experiments? There's plenty of stuff that they do live.
Well, I haven't actually seen it,
So,
but
no.
there was so I can take one for example. There was trying to remember the name of the actual event, but they had a bunch of kids send up some experiments to try to prove out like how gravity and microgravity and all this other stuff worked up there. And the funny thing behind that is that they weren't actually even able to send the actual children's toys. They said something that happened, and then they had to send up like a different group of toys for whatever reason. And then when they actually got it up there, and they started getting into it, there's like, okay, well, for whatever reason, I can't remember the reason they gave, but they said, well, because of blah blah blah, we couldn't do it live. So here's the experiment, and it's a pre-recording of a guy like doing a ball in a loop.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm sure that there's instances where they end up having to record stuff or they don't have stuff done live, but there's still plenty of stuff that has been done live. China does a bunch of stuff live with the children's as well. So,
Did you know that I can actually pre-record a video and then I can post that video as a live thing and nobody would know?
would you be able to answer questions from the audience? for it?
If I had just a backdrop, I mean, why wouldn't I be
Oh,
able to?
so you're just saying it's CGI.
No, it doesn't have to be
No.
CGI. That's what I mean, like computer generated image. No, you could actually like build a set. You could take a picture of the set, and then you can actually green screen that set in, just like something I have like here with
Okay, but
the True Earth.
but
I don't even have a green screen, and it works great.
how would you recreate the effects of space here on a set?
So
So
there's actually TikTok channels doing this right now. It's actually really
Mhm.
funny. There's a guy, and he's got a big thing of water, and it's floating, and his hair's all floating, and he's like standing right side up in his front yard. Amazing. I don't know how you would do it, but I know it's
you're just
possible.
claiming CGI.
No, it's not even CGI. He actually had a water bottle that he floated, and he actually had real water that he floated in his front yard, proving that he was somehow in space in his front yard. Dude, I don't know how
So
it
how
was
did he do
done.
that, though?
I don't know how he did it, but it's possible to be done. I've seen it. Or are you going to say that this kid was in space and in his front yard? Come on, dude.
Well, DJ,
So
can I give you another perspective on this? Specifically with the diameters with the moon and the sun. And my theory is that it helps a better understanding, making Euclidean geometry easily understandable and supporting it. Specifically with our basic geometry shapes: octagon, hexagon, pentagon, circle, square, stuff like that. Because if you take the miles across from the moon, argumentatively, it's 2,160. Divided by 2, you get 1080. It's a hexagon. Divided by 3, 720. That's a hexagon, sorry. 1080 is an octagon. Divided by 4 is a pentagon. That's with the moon. Well, can we do it with the sun? Well, yeah. 864,000. That's twice the 432 sequence. There's 86,400 seconds in a day. It's all correlated into Euclidean geometries to help support, to make it easier for us non-math people that don't want to investigate it better understand based off of 432. And that 1%, that 432 squared, ironically is 0.01% of the speed of light. To me, there's a lot of coincidences there just to make it easier for us to understand of where they came up with these numbers.
It's true. I actually, I will let you know we are 20 minutes past time. I do appreciate everybody joining me, but I do want to go ahead and make our final round. So, gentlemen, take it away.
I'll go first. For me, I think it was DJ, maybe Robert, I wasn't sure who said about coincidences. It could just be a coincidence. I think we all have a number. I've reached my number. I don't want anybody to believe me. I want them to go do their own research. Don't believe anything I have to say. Take what I have for granted. Go try your own things. But everybody has that number of coincidences. I've reached mine. If it's just one, maybe it's just a weird coincidence. 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever that is, whatever that number may be, something ain't right. I've reached my number. I just don't think everybody has yet. Good luck to you all.
Well said. Don't everybody jump at once, right?
Right. I'll jump in real quick. I was going to come in. I just wanted to talk about time zone. There's a big discrepancy between the time zones in the north versus the time zones in the south. I recommend to anybody to go look into the time zones and see why it's not what it should be.
Yeah,
All right.
time zones I think are kind of stupid. I mean, there's some cities in America where you cross a bridge and you're never behind everybody else. Yeah, but no matter what, time zones aren't going to prove anything with it.
Well, this should
Yeah.
be symmetric. There should be the same amount of time zones in the north versus the south, but there's not.
Yeah, there's not, but it's strictly based off of local areas deciding what's best for their area. So the people in the southern just decided to split up theirs a lot more than the northern because they feel that it's better for their local area.
On
Absolutely.
that specific point, I actually proposed an interesting test that could verify it if it's actually just for the political reasons, just because they say so, or if it does have anything to do with the actual position of the sun. You could take angle measurements for those. This is a call out to the community for those who are in the area of like Alaska. It's going to be super rare, but if you are out that way, take some angle measurements to the sun. Get yourself a sextant. Reach out. We'll try to set something up, and within those specific it said it was 4 time zones, right? So let's see if it's actually warranted, right? That sorry, the other way to say this, right? Let's see if the sun is actually still moving 4 time zones worth of space using real world angle measurements versus just saying, well, it's political, right? Verify it. If the sun is actually moving 4 time zones worth of angles, and then we're still all one time zone, then yeah, I think we could say that that's political. But if we do take the angle measurements and we do see that, hey, and these two supposedly would be 3 time zones apart, but they're getting the same angle measurement for the sun, that would be a pretty damning blow to the globe Earth, in my humble opinion. So I appreciate everybody jumping on. Robert, did you have one last thing?
Nope, that was it.
Awesome. DJ, you're up, my friend.
I don't really have too much more. Just when we take away magic and like extremes, refractions, and convergences and stuff, we definitely see that it's a ball. We're definitely on a sphere. Once we look at all the evidence that's been presented, then we know what it is. We've been to the moon. We've been to space. It's all there. As soon as you stop saying "nuh-uh" and actually look at the evidence, we see what it is. So.
Well, DJ, thanks for coming on. And everybody is entitled to their of course. And we do appreciate everybody coming on, especially the people who do have a difference in opinions. It does take a set of cojones to come on and do a debate. So we do hold a lot of respect for you, as long as you are respectful. Right, we don't appreciate the interrupting stuff that was going on earlier in the live, but for the most part, everybody was super cool. So thanks to everybody for being so cordial. Chat, thanks for being very dynamic. And the chat, as always, Rockfin and YouTube do not go anywhere. Shameless plug, guys, this whole entire thing, if you just came in and want to make sure to catch the full conversations, then go over to my YouTube at Troubling Tribune or my Rockfin account at, you guessed it, Troubling Tribune. And if you have trouble finding any of this stuff, just go to troublingtribune.com. The link is in the bio. Super awesome. I appreciate all the support, all the people who sent gifts and all that stuff. We appreciate you. Appreciate what we are doing over here. So as for a final point, I actually just lost it. Nope, just got it back. Awesome. So the thing is, and this is what people on the Flat Earth side have pretty much noticed, is that the globe Earth side initially says, well, we have all this evidence. And when you look at all the evidence, when you look at all the proofs, you will just see that it is, in fact, a globe. And we're going in at a first principle basis, trying to verify the claims that are made from the globe Earth that actually verify definitively the shape, and we find that they are lacking, or that we have to rely on some authority that had the freaking data behind closed doors before we ever got a hold of it. Not so great. But as for the guests who didn't make it on, I see both of you guys back there. I apologize. Maybe better luck next time. We are going to be doing a live just about every day, so be sure to check it. Check into the Telegram. Check into the website. You'll be able to see it. Go ahead and follow this if you haven't already. And follow, about to comment right now, follow me here. This is the backup channel in case anything does happen. You too can be part of the reason why we continue to go live. And we appreciate that. So, once again, thank you all. YouTube. We will indeed keep crushing. Let's go ahead and get back to you guys. Appreciate you coming on, tuning in, being a part of the show. Where are we at? Let's go ahead and get my audio back. Perfect. You guys didn't miss a beat. Very cool show. Went a little longer than anticipated, but hey, I got another stream I got to go watch. So That Robert Singinis conversation is calling my name with Mr. Witsit. Appreciate you guys. Let's go ahead and read some comments. Give you guys the proper send off. Thanks again for joining me. Brock Finn. Missed one. Let me go ahead and do that just right quick. Adrian Quintana with the $5 tip. Thank you very much for the generous donation. Viewers like you help keep the show going, so thank you so much. John Osborne, Hertz Pigeon, Mischief Brew. Excuse me. Got the hiccups after drinking that. Herbal tea. We got Nuba, much love. Fishhead, Montana. We don't assume curve, never account for it, and can't detect it. Where is it? Fairy tales, poppycock, and hogwash. Excellent comment. Fishhead, Montana. Awesome. And then we also have over on the YouTube side, let's go ahead and shout out Jeremy Bird. Thank you, my friend. Great show indeed. Brianna Lynn. And yeah, it's all in the facial expressions, right? Super funny. Shout out to the Etsy shop, guys. We appreciate the support, so go check it out. We're working hard to bring you guys some cool designs, so go and check them out. That's where we got our handy-dandy little mug here. Very cool. Shifty Eyes Shady, FP, Renee Bernays. Yeah, Bernays, that is it. Live music, awesome. And then we also have Pacal McClever, butchered it. Nominal, peace, flow state. Euclidean geometry is what we use to create longitude and latitude, which was modeled off of a plane, not a sphere. Absolutely. Great point there. FP link for the TikTok. You're going to have to go to troublingtribune.com and then you'll be able to find it. Sorry about that, not having it on hand. Who else? Lord Racer, Fuzz. What is the formula for gravity? I don't know. Something that's the same as electromagnetic force or magnetic attraction. Please don't take my ball away. Nice. Dr. Law, huge shout out. Oh, shout out to Flat Earth Banjo, Brazil, and Japan. There you go. How can anyone be a glober when there is no globe? It's true. Very perplexing conundrum. Bearsworth, what is up, my friend? Man, lots of people in the chat today. Be sure to smash that like on the way out. We do appreciate you guys. It's a great free way to support the show. And I do have a challenge for the community. You guys are the real ones over here showing up all the streams, helping support the show. But we need to expand this thing. So if you would, try to find at least one new person, at least one, that you could share this show towards and helps drive this audience up. You know, we have some interesting content, I think, for everybody, regardless of what you believe in. So let's go ahead and finish this out. Daryl Patton. And that might be it. Starting to see a lot of repeats. FE Nation. Bill Wheel. Do I recognize FMX editing there? You do. That is my official editor. Huge shout out. All right. Unindoctrinated. What a clown he was. I don't know who you're talking about, but they were a clown, whoever they were. If you think they were, it's an accurate statement, I'm sure. Killerman Kakuzu just came from Witsit's stream. That's where I will be heading here in just a second. It's probably not live anymore, but what are you going to do, right? Somebody to love. All right, enough of that. That's what actually is hidden in plain sight. Okay, read all of these. All right, I'm going to be here all night reading these. There's so much love, so much action going on. The Ascending Ancient, last shout out. Appreciate you guys. Call for zero. Just kidding. Another one. All right. Israel Kane, we appreciate it. What is up, my friend? All right, guys, I'm seriously going to get out of here. Space audits. Seriously, go all night. Much love. Thank you very much. This whole entire time, I actually should have been pulling up the exit song, which I will be doing now. So let me just BS you here for just a moment. Just one whole second while I get this pulled up. Because I find that, man, I'm just going to have to focus for a second. What are you going to do? What are you gonna do, right? Seriously, not able to find this? Oy, oy, oy. That's not it. Sorry, guys. You're catching a YouTube moment. YouTube Rockfin moment. We are having it right now. But appreciate you guys hanging in there. It will just be another moment for everybody's favorite, not the start of the show, obviously, but everybody's favorite end to the show. Gotta get your EDM kick. Thank you for joining me. Peace out. Until next time.